Now, assuming you're given this kind of information, you are the accountant, and as an accountant, you've been having a clerk, and this clerk has been doing a very good job. On a daily basis, the clerk has been capturing accounting information, like how much was the sales revenue, how much was in a card for whatever. So the records are there. And then now they want you now as a senior accountant of this organization to go ahead and prepare final reports, final financial reports out of this. Then what are you going to do? The very first thing that I will do as a great accountant, when I look at this data, I realize there is one problem. What problem is this? They have used the very old format of writing dates. We used to use this format here very, very many years ago, 01.01.2014. Excel nowadays can only accept slash in the place of dot. So then the first thing that I need to do is to come and highlight this entire column. You highlight the entire column. You simply go to the top of this. You go to the top of this, like what I've done there. Have that arrow showing down, showing that when I hit on it, it will be able to highlight the entire. So you click that one. And then once you click that, go ahead and say Control H for finding and replacing. So you say Control and then you press H while still holding on to Control. Control, I'm holding on to it, and then H. And then I should be able to see the find and replace. So what do I want to find? I want to find these bad things, the dots. I replace them with what here? I replace them with the slashes. And then I should be able to say replace all. And that has been done to 870 cells. And for me, what I would want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to basically repeat this exercise by saying Control Z. Yeah, I've gone back to where I was, Control Z. There is something that I would want us to learn. Later on, I'll be adding a new row between B and C to add a new .Robert column. To add a new column between B and C, what am I supposed to do? I should go to column C first. And in this column C, I should be able to say Control, Shift, plus. Control, Shift, plus, and you can see a new row, fresh row has been created. So later on, I know that my financials are supposed to be yearly. My financials are supposed to be yearly. Like I'll have an income statement for 2014. I'll have an income statement for 2015, etc., etc. So then I'll have to create a column here where I capture year. If I capture year in this particular column, and then I come to this cell, and then I try extracting years only without the days, without the dates. Let me see this. There's a function called year. So if I say equals, and then I say year like that, I can see my year coming up in blue there, in blue there. So I need to come and straight away dribble this up, take it up by double clicking or just pressing tab. So when I'm here and I try to pick the serial number, which is this one, I try saying enter, it's giving me an error value message, error. Why? Because the dates have been factored in, the dates have been captured in a bad format. The dot format is never ever used. What you ought to do whenever you get the dot format, you simply replace the dots with the slashes. You highlight the entire column and then you say Control H, shortcut for find and replace. So what am I finding here? I can repeat again. I'm finding the dots. So the dots like that. And then I replace them with the slashes like that. So replace all. Say replace all. So we have made 870 replacements like that. Replacements like that. And ladies and gentlemen, when I do this, listen and listen to me very well. When I do this, I can come now to this year, and then I can comfortably, before I go there, If I place my cursor there, you can see it is 01 stroke, 01 stroke, stroke, stroke. This is very good for me. This is exciting because when I come here and say equals, I say I want to pick the year out of this date. Now everything will agree. If I say I'm picking the date, so I'll come and say yes there, and then I should be able to say, in this case here, enter. It's giving me something crazy. And if I go to home here, I'll be able to know why it is giving me something crazy. It's because the cell is customized to be writing like this. So I don't want anything customized here. I would want a number. A number, basically I would want no specific format. I don't want any customization. I want general 1, 2, 3. So you can see here, I've been able to extract 2014. Once you extract 2014, so come here to the angry rabbit houses, the house of the angry rabbit. You know, we have got 2 rabbits, the white rabbit, useless, only used for highlighting. But we have this black plus, the angry rabbit. When you put it there and then you double click, you can see what is happening all the way. If you come and say, for example, control down arrow, you will see in this case here all the way up to row number 438. They've given us 2016, like that. So I would want to pause a minute and see whether there is anybody who has been able to do exactly what I've done up to now. Is there anybody who has been able to do really this? Anybody who has been able to do whatever I have done? Please give me response. I would really expect to get response. I would really expect to get response. I would expect to get a response. Yes, Kennedy, yes. Great. Thank you so much. Now then, when I do like that, then now I'm in a very good position of doing the financial reporting map. So I'll come and create a column here, new column here, title, and say a column for mapping, like that. I'll be able to say enter. And then you can come and highlight all the titles here, highlight all the titles, you highlight them up to the new title for mapping. Because you see, in my financial report map, which most of you in this case here, you normally call codes, the financial accounting codes. At workplace, I know you call them codes. Like 001 is a code for revenue, etc. So the map will not allow, you know, like how you do your income statement. How you do your income statement, you'll have one revenue. You can't have like this many revenues from market, other revenue. No. We want all these to go under one mapped item, which is revenue. So then I need to place filters. I will need to place filters to each of these things because I would want to filter them. I want to filter revenues out. I filter cost of goods sold out. It is. So to have filter, after you've highlighted this row, you will come to data. On data, there is a filter thing. On the data, sort and filter, there is a filter thing. When you click on that filter, you can see these filters have already come. Filters are there. Filters are here. Filters are here. Right? So if I say Control Z, so this Control Z, if I highlight, for the sake of you guys, just to highlight the top row, highlight the top row like that. When I highlight the top row and I want a shortcut for filtering, having those filtering icons, I can say Alt, I'm holding on to Alt, A, T for table. Alt, A, I release, and then T, but I'm not releasing Alt. I'm holding on to Alt with this finger, Alt. And then I press A, and then T, and then T. And then you'll be able to see this filters coming up. And then, ladies and gentlemen, then what do I do? Straight away, the moment I do this, I will be able to start my filtering exercise. I would want to come and filter all revenues so that I don't leave anything out. I will come and filter all revenues here. I'm filtering all revenues. I'm filtering all revenues. So I type here revenue. I type here revenue like that. All these are revenue. It doesn't matter whether there are all of them are revenues, right? So once I do that, then I need to apply by saying, okay. I need to apply by saying, okay. So when I say, okay, you can see everything in the financials now is revenue. These revenues is a traffic that I would want to drive to one basket, which in my income statement I'll call just revenue. I don't want to know this revenue comes from which branch, comes from whatever. I want in my map, I would want all these revenues here to be called just revenue. Just revenue. Like that. Revenue like that. All right. And then now I would want this revenue here to be applicable all through. So I need to, first of all, enter this to the Excel memory. How do I enter this? Of course, if you press just enter, it will go to the cell below. So if you say enter, like it will go to the cell. I don't want it to go to the cell below. I would want it to be a control enter so that I control it within. So I'll say control enter. And then I would want to copy this thing down 100%. So how do I get to copy it down 100%? There's so many ways. You can come and say control C. When I see it dancing like that, it has already been copied. So then what I'll do, I want to highlight everything down. How do I highlight everything down? It's control shift down arrow. Control shift down arrow. Everything has been highlighted for this column F. All right. And once I do that, now I can comfortably go ahead and do what here? Paste. I can comfortably go ahead and paste. Is there somebody who can remind Mwalimu, how do we normally paste? How do we normally paste? Is there somebody who knows the formula of pasting? Is there somebody who knows the formula of pasting? Is there anybody who could be remembering the formula of pasting? They are not talking to me. I don't know why they are not talking to me. How do we paste? 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 Control who? V. Then you do now control V. You do control V. You do control V. You do control V. Now we do control V. So now we are doing control V. Great. I'm just powering my machine here. So go ahead and do control V. So let's say control V. You can see now every other revenue will be, it doesn't matter whether it's revenue from market, revenue from discounters, all of them we shall be calling them by one word, which is revenue. Now from there, I'm ready to take up the next income statement item. Remember, after revenue, the next one is called the cost of goods sold, the COGS. Here we are calling them the COGS. So come to your financial filter here and then click on it. And then now we are searching for this COGS. Now the next thing, you're searching for COGS. COGS stands for cost of goods sold. You can see there are all of them here. So you apply. Now you can see this thing has changed to COGS, COGS, COGS. Come to the first cell there. Call this cost of goods sold. Because you can't capture it as COGS in the income statement. No, it's cost of goods sold. You say control enter, control C to copy, control shift down to highlight, in this case here, all of them. Control V to paste everything inside there. That is done. And once I have the revenue, I happen to be having cost of goods sold, then I'll be able to get gross profit. I'll be able to get gross profit. After gross profit, of course, I'm thinking about what here? I'm thinking about operating expenses, right? So then after gross profit, I'll think about come here and search for operating expenses. You search for operating expenses, I can see they're here. So I just apply. So I apply like that. I'll come to the first thing here and I say operating expenses, like that. I say control enter, control cow, control shift down arrow. Control V. Control is my clutch in Excel. Control is my clutch in Excel. So I'm through with the operating expenses, and I would want to pause a little bit there to see whether there are students who are following up to wherever I am. The students who are following, please give me the charts here. Chat with me. Are there students who are great? Are there students who are following? 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 I think I'm alone. I think I'm alone. I think I'm alone because nobody's giving me feedback really. Thomas Oma is following. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, there is one favor that I would want you to do. When it comes to this mapping of accounts, because it is really the backbone of CPA. Even if I call for another class, whichever time I'm talking of mapping, always attend many classes of mapping. Remember, even for those students who are using SAP or even Arrow, our software, normally you have to do what we call mapping. A different sheet, which is very good. Using a different sheet, which is very good, yes. So normally mapping is the major thing. Mapping is, even the guys who are working for government, we know that coming up with those accounting codes is a major thing. Great. So then after this, I will be able to get, of course, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization, EBITDA. So then I'll have to look for what we call depreciation and amortization. The next thing here will be for us to look for depreciation, and amortization like that. So we say, okay. So then here, I have to write this in full. Depreciation, and amortization. Like that. So Control Enter. Control C to copy this, because I would want to copy it downwards. After I say Control C, then I'll be able to say here, Control Shift down arrow. After that, it's Control V. All right, I'm through with that. So then when I deduct this depreciation and amortization, I'm left with the EBIT alone. So then I need what we call interest now. I need interest. It's a format you really master as we get along. As we get along. At first, even as when we were learning it, it seemed quite difficult. But I kept attending so many sessions of these experts until I became so good in this. So interest is here. So interest expense like that. Then I would want to have interest just there. So I can even decide to call it finance, or just let me call it interest. I can even call it interest alone. Interest alone, like that. So then Control Enter, Control C, Control Shift down, then Control V, like that. After that, the last one will be taxation. So taxation, taxes, okay. Then come here. You can even give it a different word like corporate tax. Corporate tax. Just depends on you really. Corporate tax, Control Enter, Control C, Control Shift down arrow, Control V, like that. Great. So, and that is it. So what I need to do now, once I've been able to map all of them, I should come back to financials and I break the filter. Or if you now you select all. You go back, and in this case, you select all here. You click here. Then you say, okay. So when you are here now, you can come to this mapping column, this mapping. You highlight all of them. You say Control Cow. You go to a new sheet. You go to a new sheet. I don't want this sheet here. Can even delete it permanently. Yes. I also don't want this. Delete. Yes. So now I can create my own new sheet where I'll come and say Control V. Again, get it. This one here, Control C. Then here, Control V, like that. Now, when I write like this, I reckon the fact that revenues are repeating themselves, revenue. And so cost of goods sold are also repeating themselves. So then I would want to come under data. Under data, we have duplicates, data tools. We have duplicates. You say remove duplicates. And then you simply come and say, okay, you apply this. Yeah. So like 104, whatever duplicates value found and removed, there are only 8 unique. Okay. Now from there, where I'm seeing my mapping here, I should be able to come and put the years. There are 3 years, 2014. We have here 2015. We have here 2016. Like that. Great. I would want this thing to fit everything nicely. Great. Great. So then if it's revenue, I would want to add revenue. You know, revenue, which we have is revenue for 3 years. But you see, I would want this time around to have revenue of 2014 alone. So then I'm going to use a conditional summation that sum everything if it belongs to 2014. So I'll come and say here equals, I use some ifs. I use some ifs, some ifs, some if. Then you go to the sum range. What do you want? The sum range in this 1.3 document. I want this amount. So click there. Remember, sum range must always be fully locked. Is there someone who can remind us here? How do we lock fully a given range? Which function do I press to lock fully a given range? Which function do I press? F4, thank you very much. So you say F4 and you'll be able to see the dollars coming there, right? And then you say comma. So after the sum range, now they want the criteria range. So where do we find revenue in? Revenue is in the mapping. So the criteria range, remember range is big. So revenue is being housed in the mapping. So I'll come and click there, and then I should be able to say F4, F4 like that. After criteria range, the next thing now they want is the condition itself, which is revenue. So you go back to your sheet 3 here, and you click this revenue. But you see, this revenue have to be very bright. This revenue happens to be in column A, and the column A is a title column. It will not be wobbling. It will not be changing. So then I need to come here to column A, in front of column A, in front of column A, we say shift $. We block A alone. And then we continue with the journey. We come and say comma. Do we have any other criteria? Yes. I would want to sum this time around using the year. You see, currently what I've done is to sum, right? From the mapping, I've been able to single out a condition which is revenue. Again, from this particular time, I would need, ladies and gentlemen, to single out 1 year, which is 2014. Yes, there is another criteria range, which is this year. So then I need the year range. It has to be many. So I need to go back to my 1.3. I say that there is another criteria range, which is the year range. This always ranges must be F4. And then you come and say here, comma. So for this criteria range, the criteria itself in this sheet is 2014. And if you are a crazily clever student, you'll have now appreciated that this 2014 is supposed to be a title. 2014 will be applicable for all these things. So because it's a title and this is a 2, so I need to come here to 2 here, and then I put what there? I put $1 like that. And then if I wish I can close, or you can simply come and tell us what there, you can simply come and tell us to enter. So you tell us enter, what are you seeing there, ladies and gentlemen? You are seeing great things here. So now you can come and apply the formula. You can apply the formula across. You apply the formula across. You apply the formula down. Everything. Great. I like Excel. It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Right? So I have in this case here, this row number 2, I can come and say control bold like that. I can come and say control bold like that. And then I can finish my income statement. But before I continue, I would want to see whether there is anybody who is getting error, or 0000 or 2922, 2922. Somebody alitega vibaya. Is there somebody who is getting those kind of funny things? I'm getting decimals, okay. I'm getting decimals. But Nima, are they close, like 29, 22 point, maybe 3? Are they close, those decimals? Are they close to whatever I have here? Are they close to whatever I have here? Ah, then that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Great. So then let's go ahead and finish up this thing. So like I know, revenue minus cost of goods sold should give me what here? Should give me gross profit. So come here in row number 5. You highlight the whole of row number 5. I want to add a new row. To add a new row or a new column, you know, it's just addition plus. I just need to come and say Control Shift and then the plus, right? Then I'll be able to have what we call gross profit. So after that, I'll come and deduct the operating cost. So I'll need a new row there. When I deduct the operating cost, I'm getting what we call EBIT. EBIT. But because this has got depreciation and amortization, then this has to be called EBITDA. EBITDA. EBITDA standing for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. Right? And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, after that, I'll come and subtract depreciation. Depreciation. When I calculate, I subtract it, I'll be able to create a new column here. New row, I mean, Control Shift like that. And then now I have what we call EBIT. EBIT like that, without that da. After that, I subtract interest. When I subtract interest, I should be able to get something very interesting. I should be able to get what we call EBT without tax now. And then lastly here, I'll be able to come here and I get profit after tax, or it, profit after tax, or it like that. So we start with this gross profit. So I would want these ones here to be, I would want all these to be what here, like gross profit to be bold, to be bold. So then what I do, I'll simply come and say control. So I've selected this. While still holding on to control, I can see in this case here, this EBITDA should be bold. EBIT should be bold. EBT should be bold. And also it should be bold. All right. So Control B. So you can highlight all of them using control. You can highlight all of them. You're holding on to control and then you highlight. Just go to with your mouse, picking onto the ones that you would want in this case to be bolden. So if I've been able to highlight all of them, and then now you release control once, and then you go back to control, you say Control B, like that. So like now here, then what I'll do, I know to get gross profit, I'll come and take here the revenue. I say minus this cost of goods sold. I say Control, Enter, and then I can autofill to the right. So come to EBITDA, I'm taking equals, I'm taking this gross profit, I subtract the operating expenses, Control Enter, and then I should be able to move this like that. And then we come to this, I'm taking the EBITDA minus the depreciations, Control Enter, and then we should be able to take it that way. Then we have EBIT, so we take the EBIT, I deduct the interest expense, Control Enter, and I should be able to move like that. I go to it. I should be able to take like that. We take this minus the tax itself, control enter. Then I should be able to move this like that. Great. So is there somebody who is able to get these figures? Is there anybody who is able to get these figures? Of course, forget about rounding off. Rounding off, I'll be able to show you how to do this rounding. You can play around with this. You can play around with these things the way you want them at the home. You can play around with these decimals as much as you wish. If you want them to be many, you can actually highlight the entire table like Nima did. So anyway, here you can now play around. Do you want 2 decimal places? What do you want? You want 2 decimal places then? What do you want? What do you want? Like that. Great, 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 great. So is there somebody who has learned something? Is there somebody who has learned something? Is there somebody who has learned something? Is there somebody who has learned something new? Great, great, great. And then I would want you guys to do me a favor.